as horror fans, we'll go see anything, man. We're chasing the fucking dragon, boys.
What's up, everybody? Aaron and Todd here. Like normal, we got special guest Fred Vogel. Is it appropriate to say infamous?
Absolutely.
You think you deserve infamous? I think that's good.
I think that's good.
You know, this is Todd's been trying to. Well, he's been wanting. It's not like you were like hard to obtain, like chasing you down, but he's wanted to talk to you again for a long time. He talked to you a long time ago. At which convention did you catch him at years ago?
So I met Fred back in 2012 at a Horror Hound convention. So this was my first horror convention. So I've been a horror fan like my whole life. I never went to a con until I was in my late 20s. And it was at Horror Hound back in 2012 with Pam Grier. She was headlining it.
Okay.
And Fred was there. And I met Fred because our co-host Nate was a big fan of yours. I didn't know too much about Fred. So he was telling me about you, and then I went up and we did an interview with you. I had my little iPad. This was like our first year doing Revival House. We've been around for forever.
This is like 11, 12. This is ghetto era. This is back when podcasts were only done on Skype. Nobody dared touch the video button on Skype. And it was also kind of the Wild West where everybody got away with everything. There wasn't really any algorithms. People hadn't moved over to YouTube. Man, I miss it, but we won't go down that too long.
No,
I miss it.
So I interviewed Fred, and he was like probably one of the first people I interviewed after we started Revival House, and he was awesome, man. I was blown away at how knowledgeable he was. We talked about his films. We talked about Last House on Dead End Street. We talked about that because you were promoting that at the time. You had the VHS coming out and everything like that. And I one of the nicest dudes at a con. I tell everybody, meet Fred Vogel. He was the nicest guy ever. I mean, you see his movies. You might not like him. Some people don't like him, his movies, but he's an awesome dude. So, no, I really appreciate it. You really helped me out with my first con. I appreciate it, Fred.
Well, I appreciate the kind words for sure. Thank you.
That's usually how it goes, though, by the way, Todd, where you have somebody that has an outward appearance, whether it's people in like extreme music or in Fred's case, extreme film. But you might think, oh, that's going to reflect who they are as a person. And it's almost never that case. They're always like Mr. Rogers in real life. They're always super nice. It's always the backwards.
Well, you should always separate the art from the artist.
Yep.
I just, man, I fucking love horror films, dude. And I love gore and special effects. And it's always what I wanted to do. So, you could be a nice guy and want to play in Fake Blood,
Yeah, no, I totally get it. Kind of going back though, like, how did you get into special effects? Like, what was your? I mean, like going back, like growing up, like what like really drew you to like what horror films or what drew you to like special effects?
I was born in 1976, so by the early 80s, like 1988, that was like the heyday for horror, and you couldn't turn a page in Fangoria without seeing names like Tom Savini, Rick Baker, Kevin Yeager, Stan Winston, Steve Johnson, Rob Bottin, all these guys that were creating these amazing, monsters and horror films. I just wanted to be them. I wanted to be Tom Savini, and I wanted to, be the master of gore, and then I wanted to be Stan Winston and create these amazing monsters like the Terminator and Predator, and Rob Bottin with The Thing, and of course Rick Baker with Michael Jackson's Thriller. When you see Michael Jackson's Thriller for the first time, like the making of on MTV, and you're seeing him like make these teeth and putting on the appliances and burying his clothes in the dirt to make it all rotted so it like looked like zombies. Like all that stuff was so influential to me, and I just absorbed it like a sponge. It's not like how it is today where we're just getting fed through the internet. Back then you had to read it, and when you read it and you have it in that little magazine and you go to bed with that magazine, it means so much more. And I'm not shitting on the youth of the world today. I'm just saying it was a different time back then. And, when you don't have a lot, you learn to appreciate that stuff. And like I said, you take it to bed with you, and you wake up with it and you're reading it again, and you're taking it to school and you're reading it again, and you're just constantly inundating yourself with it. And it was just, I was just born in a really great time when, my heroes were wrestlers and special effects artists. That's who I loved.
And that's the beauty of growing up in that time. I mean, because like you were saying, like you had Fangoria, you had VHS tapes. I mean, you had like a handful of movies at your fingertips, and that was it. Like you didn't have Netflix, you didn't have streamers, so you really had to bond with these films, and you knew every little idiosyncrasies of these films and albums. So it's just, yeah, it's a different time, and I loved it back then as well. Of course, now it has its benefits too, but yeah,
Sure,
I
sure.
look back, and man, I'm so nostalgic for everything. I mean, obviously, but
I miss picking one tape or one CD because that's all
Mhm.
my Walkman or Discman could handle. Because I used to walk to school. I miss just having to choose.
Yeah,
And then like I would live with it. That was my album for the day because I
yeah,
had like 3-4 miles there, 3-4 miles on the way back, and usually you would bond with whatever your favorite records, your movies are today. It's because you spent all summer with this one or whatever, and I can pinpoint particular movies or records that I know exactly where I was when they came out because I was living and breathing that
that's
specific
yeah.
media at that time. I don't I'm like, yeah, not to, like you said, shit on youth today, but I don't really know how their brains work with that. Like what I don't know how they're pinpointing anything with the time because there's just an influx of just so much from every angle coming at them. Uh,
Absolutely.
and I'm guilty of it too, man. It's not even young people, but like I live in this world now too, and so much is coming out. There's so many things that I'm into that I just don't get to partake anymore. Like I like to say, oh, I like video games. I mean, I'm a dad. I'm fucking 40, dude. How much time am I really gaming? But
Mhm.
even if I wanted to, like the backlog of how many games come out, you just can't keep up with that stuff anymore. Like there's just no way I can be on the pulse of all this stuff because there stuff like that is getting so big and robust and they're throwing like 50 titles a year at you. I don't know how anybody could really pinpoint anything anymore.
No, and we have to adapt. You know what I mean? Like that's just the way it's the way life has always been. You know, generations every generation has their own thing, and you learn that way, then you grow, and then the way it changes, then you start learning that way, and it just keeps going and going and going. Again, uh, that time was very important to me, and I think that's why a lot of people our age, at least my age and the Generation X,
Mhm.
we're very knowledgeable about that kind of stuff because like you said, you had to take that one CD with you, or that one you were watching that one movie over and over and over again. Like, you know, uh, you knew every lyric to every song because you played it over and over and over again. I remember when I got the first, when I got Twisted Sister, Stay Hungry.
Oh yeah.
First of all, the
Mhm.
cover's badass with D. Snyder with
Yep.
that bone, and then second, man, just listening to that tape over and over and over and over again. Man, I was singing all those songs. I would like prank call my friends with like, you're gonna burn in hell, like it just became so much of a part of me. And I think in movies did the same thing too. And I think when you're so engulfed in something, it becomes part of your DNA and your
Mhm.
makeup. So uh, I would never change the time that I grew up for anything, and that's just me.
Absolutely.
And I'm sure like a young person today would say the same thing. They might think what I'm talking about is old bullshit, but I just learned to appreciate my mediums. Putting more time into them and nurturing them than just kind of like scrolling really fast or flipping through or something like that.
No, I,
I
I, I totally get it. I met Aaron in middle school, and we started bonding in high school, and we communicated through movie quotes. I mean, like we were like that nerdy, or we would like go off with our Total Recall or whatever film. Like, I mean, we could just say a one liner, and I mean, he would piggyback off of me. So that's what was great about that time.
Speaking of Boteen, King of the Squibs, man, that movie,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah,
Human Shield, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Human Shield on
Yes.
that like escalator, whatever. It's like the
yeah,
greatest of all time. No, I was trying to look it up. I wasn't being rude. You mentioned Twisted Sister, and I couldn't remember the track on it. But I always think about what is it, Horror Terrier, the one that's based, where he introduces the Captain Howdy character,
yeah.
and it's basically Freddy Krueger. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I've probably looked it up at some point because they're both 1984, right? Nightmare on Elm Street and Stay Hungry.
Yes.
84. Yeah.
Which one inspired what? Surely he was ripping off like because it's
Well,
literally
Captain Howdy is the Exorcist, so
Yep.
no,
Yep.
I know
Yep.
that the name Captain Howdy comes from the alias of Pazuzu,
yeah,
but if you listen to the lyrics of that song, he's telling the story of Nightmare on Elm Street, where
yeah.
there's a diddler and the parents get Vigilante. It's literally,
Yeah.
and I don't know if like Nightmare on Elm Street was just so new at the time where he's like, you know, this ain't gonna be. I just felt like looking it up.
Yeah,
I couldn't
you
remember.
know, that's a really good question. You know, that's a really good
But
question.
literally, listen to the song again. The lyrics are literally telling Freddy Krueger, and I got to figure out which came first. Yeah, anyway, yeah, Captain Howdy. By the way, that's a movie. I want to just go all over the place. But did you like that D. Snyder movie with Captain Howdy?
Oh, Strangeland?
Strangeland, yeah.
You know, it had its moments. You
Dated
know,
too.
Yeah, and again, yeah, exactly. It's that moment in time, and you know, I know Dee worked really hard to make that movie. So of course, as a film, from one filmmaker to another, I applaud anybody that you know puts their heart and soul to make a film, because it is not fucking easy, boys. I'm telling you, it's making movies is the toughest thing, you know, out there, especially because. You know, and especially Dee feels it too, man. Like, you know, people shit on it. You know, people shit on my art too, and you just got to be really thick-skinned. And I think, you know, through time, it's that little time capsule, and it did what it needed to do, and I applaud Dee for that.
Yeah. He was trying to get a sequel made for years. And I know he was, and it just eventually he probably just threw in the towel. I think he's just basically all but retired now. But yeah.
Aaron just got done with his first short not too long ago, so he's
like fucking 2 years ago, Todd. I'm on other shit now, but so I'm an indie filmmaker. See how well he knows me. We've known each other fucking 25 years. No, but yeah, I'm an indie filmmaker as well. And I say the same thing to Todd all the time. You know, if we come on here and we talk movies 2 times a week, of course we're gonna have opinions. We're gonna critique stuff. But Todd, do I not always say, even if it's something I don't like, that
100%.
I have to leave room for that vantage point that, look, they made it to the finish line. It's insanely hard. It's very easy to just poo-poo on something and say this is trash, it was garbage. Like, dude, some guy worked on that for probably fucking 2 years, you know, or whatever, maybe more.
Yeah.
And the fact that he finished it. And also, sometimes you see movies that are just, they're not just like really bad. You know stuff happened. It's like, look, nobody's trying to make a bad movie. And there's like subjective bad, and there's a whole bunch of problems that went on with the production bad.
Yeah.
You know, and you could tell the difference.
Sure.
You could tell what was fixed in the editing or scrambled to try and salvage in the editing. You could tell where people ran out of money. I mean, at least I can, and I know you probably can.
Oh, for sure.
100%. I see all this stuff, and I see everything for what it is, and I give props where it's due, because it's very, very difficult, especially if you're doing everything yourself.
Absolutely. Yeah, man.
Or, you know, 90% of it yourself. You're always going to have some kind of help. But, dude, I don't know, man. You get a lot of grays. I get a lot of grays. It'll age you. Making one project will age you fucking 10 years. So...
No, man. Believe me, I felt everything, every sting that you can get from making a movie. You know, from like, you know, with August Underground, and the guy who played the cameraman, you know, who was my business partner at the time, like left me, you know, with the movie, and wanted nothing to do with it. And you know, through courses of, you know, the other films, like there's always been problems. You know, actors that were so into it in the beginning, and by the time it comes out, they want nothing to do with it. Their life changes. They have kids. They become school teachers, whatever.
Sure. Yeah.
You know, it's all obstacles that, you know, we as filmmakers have to go over. And it's so easy to give up and say, you know what, I can't do this anymore. That's why, you know, the independent scene, you know, you'll see a burst of filmmakers. They'll make 1 or 2 movies, and then they go away. You know, I've been doing this, you know, 25 years. And I've seen so many come and go, and I've met so many filmmakers that have so much talent but just don't have the thick skin. You know, and when you're making movies for a minimal budget, you know, you're at the hands of actors maybe not being the most professional, not the best special effects, not the best camera crew, not the best crews. So you know, you kind of have to deal with the hand that you're dealt with, and try to make the best thing that you can. Like you said, nobody goes out to make a shitty movie. It's just that, you know, sometimes like that's the way it is. And sometimes you catch lightning in a bottle. And, you know, you make something that people remember. And I've been very fortunate that, you know, a lot of my films, you know, people remember. Maybe it's because how fucked up they are, or maybe it's just, you know, they enjoy my style of filmmaking. But again, as a filmmaker, I'm going in to try to make the best movie I can, make a movie for
Sure.
me, and make a movie for my amazing fans out there. So,
But you said that you have to make it for yourself. Like it's cliche, but you have to love it, man, because in many ways it's going to be thankless. You're going to have, you might, if you're lucky, you got a core audience that's going to love what you put out. But dude, like that's such a fart in the wind compared to the onslaught of outsiders that are just going to like toss it, shrug it off.
oh yeah,
And you have to love it, man. And when you finish a film, it's almost like giving birth. That also sounds kind of cliche. It's you get it out of your system. At least for me, I feel broken, beaten, defeated. I feel very happy because I feel like, but I feel sad. I have so many different emotions, and I'm not somebody that could just turn around the next week and like, okay, let's start a new one. I need a mental detox, and then it's draining. And so yeah, you have to do it yourself because you're never, unless you're James Cameron or something, you're never going to get out. You're not going to get back whatever you put out. You're not. It's not like that. You can't expect to make $1 million doing it. Like I said, you can't expect everybody to like it.
Yeah.
My last film, for some fucking reason, man, I look at reviews and sometimes I go on like IMDb and I'm like, what the fuck did I do to the community of Poland? It's like I've got great reviews and I got these fucking reviews from Poland and they're all just giving me ones. Like what? Who cares?
No, a lot of that is just bots and shit, man. You know what I mean?
It's like, what did I do to the fucking polls? I don't understand.
Again, like it was a different time. When I made my first movie in 2001, it was a different time. The internet wasn't what it is today. Like people found out about my movies through magazines and maybe a blog or some early blogs back in the day. But it's not like how it is today, and now algorithms pick up things and these bots will take things. And we live in a world where people don't want you to succeed. You know what I mean? Again,
absolutely,
it's like,
100%.
Unless you have the machine behind you, pushing and pushing and pushing, like, it's an uphill battle no matter what. You're pushing a 20,000-pound rock up a fucking a hill, and it's hard.
Is that just a human nature thing? What is it about people that want to keep you down, not like put the ladder down? They don't want people to succeed, like you said. And you see this in every medium, man. I've had friends that do stand-up comedy in the local scene, and I hear those stories all the time. But yeah, everybody on a mic, they all fucking want everybody else going before and after them to fucking fail. Yeah. And anybody that gets any kind of success gets a good opening gig. God forbid this is like the Johnny Carson days where somebody got a sitcom. Mm-hmm. They fucking hated you for it. And I'm like, I don't understand that. High tide should raise all ships. You should be happy for your friends, for your colleagues. Everybody's got a different journey and a different path, man. Yeah. I don't understand it, but it's it exists. It even exists on fucking YouTube in podcast world.
Sure it does.
It's fucking ridiculous.
And that's why I really respect what Fred does. I mean, he's been around since 2001. It's like, and he's still going today. It's like we're kind of in the same boat. Like, I mean, I'm never going to give up this podcasting. I mean, regardless of numbers, I don't give a shit about this. This is the one time I get to hang out with my best friend. It's that sort of thing, and something I love to do, watch movies, that sort of thing. And I'm sure, I don't want to put words in, but I'm sure it's the same kind of thing that you do. I mean, you love what you do, right? When it comes
absolutely,
to
and the older I get, the more I want to play with the people that want to have fun.
Yeah,
I make movies with people who I want to have fun with, who I care about. It's a family thing for sure. With when it's a toe tag movie or if it's a Fred Vogel movie, like everybody who is involved in it is people that I care about and I want to make this movie with. And it's not about money; it's about making art and having fun. And another thing, I've always been so supportive. I never had anybody there to champion me. When I was coming up, I had to like mow my own grass and go, create my own path. And I always knew, especially when I became a teacher, when I taught at the Tom Savini makeup school for a few years, that being somebody who inspires somebody is so much more rewarding than being somebody who just keeps an ego and wants to keep everything for themselves. And I knew back then that, like, if I ever made any kind of mark in filmmaking, that I would answer questions and I would be open to talk to people and, tell them the trials and tribulations of what I'm going through and something they might expect. when they're making their movie or creating their art. Um, just imagine if I, could call Wes Craven on, and set up a podcast and talk to him, or
I got a Ouija board.
Yeah,
I wish.
the directors, the directors that
Yeah.
inspired me back in the day. I think that if more people just got over the fact of doing things for themselves and doing things as a team, things would be a lot better. I grew up with team sports, man. I love the team aspect.
Yeah.
And filmmaking, even though I'm the director and the producer, the creator, I could not do it without my amazing team of people that are helping me along. Because as a director, you have you're wearing all these hats, you're worrying about so much shit, you're worrying about getting how many pages can we do today? Oh my God, is that performance okay? Oh shit, food's coming in an hour. Is that going to be all right? Like, are my actors getting tired? I can see the stress in their face. How do I work with them to try to relieve some of that stress? How do I, the effects not working? Oh my God, I can't lose half a day. We're running out of time. We're running out of light. These are the things that happen when you're making a movie. And if you're, a crabby ass curmudgeon, and bringing that negativity down, like it affects everybody, and that's something that I don't
if you're
want.
if you're an indie filmmaker, you need to be nice and not be a curmudgeon bastard if you want people to keep working with you and kind of help working with you. You know what I mean? Like, no one's gonna want to. If you're a fun guy to work with, you run a fun ship, you take care of people, you fucking feed people, whatever. You treat them like human beings. There's gonna be people that are gonna want to help make your art.
It really shows in the art. Look at like George Romero, worked with his family and friends. It's like, yeah,
absolutely. That's why I moved to Pittsburgh from New Jersey,
Yeah.
because Tom Savini and George Romero were out here, and Pittsburgh was like the horror capital of the world to me. It's like, this is where where the modern horror movie was born, was in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Cloudy, gloomy steel mills, cemeteries. And it actually had the only art school that had any kind of special effects makeup program. And
I want to ask something about that in a second too. I before we're done with this, but sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, man.
No,
but
it's cool.
I'm sure you've probably spoken about this ad nauseum, so I may have just missed it. Now, I know that you got fired or let go from the Tom Savini school as a result of the attention August Underground was getting.
Yeah.
But on paper, that just sounds silly. It's like, I'm at an effects school. You got Tom Savini, we know what he's capable of, and there's a film here that's got a lot of gore. It sounds weird. Is it because it was like an institutional thing? Like I don't know. Like, why did they get all bent out of shape over that?
There was a few things, like Tom Savini wasn't cutting off nipples and smearing shit in it. I was.
You thought about it?
Yeah. Two. I was hired right out of college to become a teacher at the school. So I became a teacher at the school before the Savini program started. So I was there for a year, and then all of a sudden we started building what would become the Tom Savini Makeup School. So now you have this school where kids from all over the world are coming to learn special effects from the master Tom Savini. And you had, your lead instructor, Jerry Gergley, who's still there. He's an Emmy-winning, special effects artist. He's worked on a ton of movies. And then you had a guy named Fred. He is probably the same age or younger than the average student coming in. And, once the school started gaining momentum and we were bringing in other instructors like, Gino Cragnelli from K&B and Greg McDougall, there was all these great effects artists coming in with names of movies they were working on. I wasn't a name. So it was, and plus they were paying me really good. So just like, any typical kind of work environment that we live in today, if you can get a name coming in for the price of a guy that isn't a name, you send him packing. That's just business. And I remember that's what Tom told me, because when I was let go from the school, I talked to Tom, and Tom was just like, Fred, he's like, this is your first taste of what business is business, and I got it. Of course I was sad because I was leaving all these, these awesome young people who I was putting my heart and soul into, giving them an education on sculpture and things like that. But, I want to be where I am today. If I didn't get let go of that job, I want to be married to the woman that I've been with. I want to have made the 8 feature films that I've made and the path that I'm on right now. And it was the best thing that ever happened, because the last thing I wanted to be was 50 years old and just being a teacher and not have lived any part of my dream since I was 5 years old, and that's being a movie maker.
Yeah.
Success is usually birthed from some failure somewhere.
And, you know,
or
and
some,
that's true. And, you know, failure is the best thing that can happen to any artist.
100%.
And that's something that I've dealt with my whole life, man. My best friend growing up was a better artist than me. And we used to have drawing contests, and I'd be like, Grandma, whose is better, Chris or mine? And she'd be like, Chris's is better. And I'm like, you're supposed to say mine's better. But that just made me work harder.
Yeah.
You know,
absolutely.
and Chris is still my best friend after, 40 something years, and he's my biggest fan. And you know, and
dude, it's 20% skill and it's 80% drive.
Yeah.
I mean, some of the best musicians you'll ever see in the world are not going past their bedroom or maybe their local pub, but yet we have Fred Durst out there, really rich. Todd loves Limp Bizkit. I'm just kind of giving him shit. I'm just saying, drive, time, place, circumstance, being at the right place, the right time, and putting yourself out there, and just I mean, that's most of it.
Yeah,
for sure. You know, and that's one thing that I've always had was drive. And, you know, and again, like when somebody critiques your art as a kid, you know, when you're in art school and, oh, this isn't good, you know, you work better, you work harder, you just can't give up.
That's the difference between that's the difference. That is the difference between people that are great and the people that quit or the people that go further. Because absolutely, man, if you can learn to take some criticism, even if it's asshole criticism, it's not constructive, and you could just grow from it. I mean, everybody goes through that. You don't think everybody goes through that, but everybody does. And everybody that you love and worship, you know, I don't like all of Romero's movies, man. There was definitely growth there.
Oh,
you know, like I'm on record as saying I kind of think Night of the Living Dead was a fluke. It's an amazing movie. I love it. But then he went off and he did, you know, Vanilla, Season of the Witch, and I don't even like the Crazies, but it's getting a little better. But it's just, you go from Night to woo to me. And it's like, oh God, this is a mess, or the editing in this one's a fucking mess. Like, what's going on here?
Sure.
And then he goes, and, you know, and then he does Martin, which is incredible. And he goes back to the zombie pool, and Dawn is obviously for me, the crown jewel.
Yeah.
But like, not everybody's perfect. Everybody's got growing pains. Everybody's learning. I
agree 100%, you know, and it's, you know, a lot of people's first movies, you know, and I'm definitely one that I think falls into this category, is, you know, it came at the right moment, at the right moment of time, you know, to capture that little bit of lightning in a bottle. Like George Romero got it, you know, in '68 with Night of the Living Dead. Tobe Hooper got it, you know, with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Absolutely.
John Carpenter got it for Halloween, you know. These guys made the movie at the right moment in time. And you don't know when the right moment in time is. You're just like, God, I hope I can make this today. I hope it comes out now. And, you know, that's the thing, is like, film is so organic, you know, everything about it, you know, it you know, especially like, you know, film lives, you know, there's life to that. And, you know, when you make something and you create something that stands the test of time, it's you know, it's the greatest gift. And like, you know, as much as, you know, Romero has made you know, I think, you know, John Carpenter has a better filmography than George Romero.
Sure.
We'll talk all night about that. But
I agree. I agree with you.
But I'm not going to take anything away from George, because you know what? At that moment in time, George had the right people. He was telling the right story. It was the right moment in time in history.
Yes.
You know, to put a black lead in his film, for everything that the storytelling that he was telling. You know, it was just the right moment in time, you know. And I look at Chainsaw, which is one of my favorite movies of all time. You know, these kids making a movie in that hot summer day. Hopefully they're making something great. They're putting their poor actors through this stuff. Everybody smells. You know, you have Bob Burns like pulling dead cattle off the ground just to decorate the house and set dress the house and build all the props, and you know, all the stuff that these people suffered through to create this art. Just captured that lightning in a bottle. And at that moment in time, drive-ins were huge. Everybody was going to the drive-in. Everybody was watching a movie called The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. How do you not want to go see something like that?
You could get away with like the marketing ploys of based on a true story.
Sure.
It's like, well, you know, it's loose off and word of mouth, and same thing with like you know, August Underground and Blair Witch and shit like that.
No, dude, absolutely. Blair
getting
Witch.
harder and harder to get away with that now, obviously. But
yeah, no, for sure. And that's why I feel, you know, I feel for these people making movies now. But if you look at like what the kid who made Obsession, he
Yeah.
built an amazing fan base on YouTube, millions of followers with his comedy and his humor videos. And then he makes this movie, and he makes this movie about young people, and that's who's going to see it.
Yeah.
What they can relate to, consent, and all this stuff.
And it's doing great, Am
And
I a little jealous that he's making Texas Chainsaw Massacre? Yes.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know.
So like, he's a great example because, look, he's somebody of this time making a movie for this time, and like you said, and also if you notice, Obsession, everything is fucking framed down the middle in the center because he knows he's making shit for reels. He knows what's going to be a memeable thing. The whole fucking what's that thing you keep seeing everywhere? No.
Yeah.
He knows what he's doing.
Not that we don't. I mean, the movie's fine. It's I enjoy
not about
it.
that.
Yeah,
I think the movie's just it's all right.
Yeah.
But whatever. Who the fuck?
It did what it needed to do.
Yeah.
And it caught that lightning in the bottle for this moment in time in history. That's what it did.
And then he's gonna go and do Texas without ever seeing any Texas movies. Can't wait.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
And I'm the guy with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre dining room downstairs. You know what I mean?
Okay. Oh yeah,
dude. I guess if there's something I can say, give you a budget, you're probably bred to be doing a Texas movie. Why are they giving us the guy?
I know.
Chainsaw is such an important movie to me. Gunnar Hansen was a friend of mine.
Oh,
I know all the people from the original Chainsaw. There's nothing more terrifying than Gunnar Hansen in the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
That's true.
I mean, he's kind of like, I took from him for my character from August Underground. Like being the big hulking guy, smashing people with a hammer. So I mean, there's definitely a little bit of Gunnar, Leatherface DNA in my character. So like, I will always have my love for Chainsaw, and given the opportunity, I would love to be able to play in that world. It's just
honestly, why maybe I'm the odd man out here. I don't know why they keep trying to. I'm shocked that Texas Chainsaw Massacre has somehow become a franchise because they've never. I mean, 2's fun. I love 2 for what it is, but I mean, I don't really give a shit about anything else, and they can't ever capture that first movie.
No.
And for what that movie is, as grimy as it is, and the kind of movies that it inspired, the fact that they've tried to make him into a Freddy Krueger and a Michael Myers, and they've kind of successfully done it. Everybody thinks about Leatherface, and I'm like, this is all off of one amazing movie. I don't know. And they keep trying to, and they keep failing at making a good movie.
No, it's a lot of things. It's about the IP.
Yeah, of course. I'm surprised though it did. I'm surprised somebody said, yep, this is going to be the one that we're going to... It's just so fucking... It's not Freddy. It's not Chucky. It's not... It is so much grimier and dirtier. It's exploitation.
Yeah.
How did that become one of like the Mount Rushmore of like slasher icons?
Well,
I've never understood that.
Well, in 2003, when the remake came out...
Oh, yeah, sure.
The powerhouse behind that was the powerhouse behind Nightmare on Elm Street. New Line owned that, I think, and...
Yeah.
They had the formula of what it was to build a franchise. So now they're starting over. They do the 2 Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies, the remake and the beginning.
Yeah.
And now when you have a franchise that big, you're spending that kind of money. You need to be able to license these characters. And Leatherface is the most. He's the coolest one. He has the weapon.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to make action figures of the guy. They did. The cowboy or the cop or whatever.
Arlie Army. Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like it's like he's the icon of the movie.
Sure.
He's the guy on the poster.
I guess it's hard for me to say because back when that movie came out, franchise wasn't really a thing. But let's just assume it was. If I'm watching that in the theaters back in the day at a drive-in, I'm not going to watch that movie thinking, oh, this is going to be a franchise they're going to milk for 50 years. No, it's just it just comes off like this one and done cult movie. I don't know. I still think it's just the biggest anomaly to me. And it's not like Freddy where, most Freddy movies are not good, but they made a few good Freddy movies.
I do wish they would make David Hess Krug action figures though.
Me too. If anybody needs an action figure, it's my buddy David Hess, man.
Yeah,
dude. I have to tell the story, and I'll have to bleep it out because it's it's YouTube.
Are we
our
not
old
allowed to curse on here? I've been throwing the F
No,
word.
yeah, you can curse.
You
You
can
can
well,
curse.
no, you could curse, but there's certain words you can't say on YouTube.
Oh, okay.
That they don't like, and I'm
like
going
the
to say
like
one.
the R word.
I'm going to say it.
Yeah.
And so
Well, it's pre-recorded. Yeah, well, yeah.
no. But so our old friend was it from Exploited Cinema
Yeah.
podcast. All this guy watches is like just the filthiest fucking grime. He lives for it. Anyway,
is this Art Ettinger you're talking about?
what's that?
Is this Art Ettinger you're talking about?
No.
No, it's a guy by the name that goes by Bat 32.
Yeah,
professionally. But he goes to a convention and he's a huge David Hess fan. I mean, obviously. And he says, "Oh, I'm shaking. I go up to him with something to sign and says, "Oh, you're the king of rape." And he just looked at me like, "What the fuck have I done with my life?" but he was so excited because he's like the king of rape, and the way he says it is like, my God, because I can only feel. I don't know. Maybe I wouldn't want to be known as the king of rape. I thought it was hilarious.
Which Last House is one of my favorite films of all time.
I love it too.
It's my favorite Wes Craven film, and I love David Hess. I think he was phenomenal. I think his music was fantastic as well.
Yeah,
totally underrated. And R.I.P. David Hess, man. I loved him still be making movies.
Me too, man.
Swamp Thing fucking sucks though.
Well, Swamp Thing.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
Hey, you know what? When Swamp Thing came out, man, it was pretty cool. Cool. It's unfortunately just didn't hold up.
Mm-hmm.
And again, that movie had fucking tons of problems. When they were making that thing. But
by the way, when I say something fucking sucks, I'm not trying to negate what I said before about I give it credit. It's just fun. It's friends talking.
Yeah.
Oh, it sucks, man. Oh, that sucks. It's not personal.
Yeah.
And I want to go back to something you were talking about. You were talking about John Carpenter. You were talking about
Romero,
time capsules, like lightning in a bottle. Yeah, I think that these ideas, movies, it's all in the ether and it's all there for you to grab, and it's all about getting the right combination of people at the right time. And I always talk about how I think the original Alien I love them. The original Alien is one of my favorite films. And it's another casualty that got franchised out to death, and you got to try and dissociate from all that. But I can't say I'm like, oh, I just love a particular director, because most directors aren't perfect. I like movies more than I like the actual filmmakers, because it's not about one person. And God knows Ridley Scott is, in my opinion, made more not great films than good films. But Alien, for example, it just perfect storm, fired off on all cylinders. It was him. It was Dan O'Bannon's script. It was everything, set design. It was everything down to the tagline.
Yeah.
In space, no one can hear you scream. Everything about that movie was perfect. And, I can't blame George. You're talking about George maybe not having like a perfect filmography, but dude, it doesn't matter. The guy fucking did Night and Dawn. Game over.
Yeah.
Most filmmakers don't ever make a movie that you could. I think Dawn is a perfect movie. It's just like I would not change anything about it. I couldn't change anything about it. No, who gets to make that? So even if like you have a guy that you like that's made a lot of good films, I bet you none of them are as good as Dawn.
Mm-hmm.
Despite whether or not you like fucking half of George Romero's
Monkey
films.
Shines, or
And I do agree. Carpenter's like he's the closest, because that guy had a streak that nobody can compete with. I mean, that guy was like on fucking fire for over a decade, just banger after banger after banger. And to me, for John Carpenter, and even he kind of ran out, but he goes all the way up to Mouth of Madness, which that might be like the Black Album of John Carpenter, where it's either you're jumping off, you're stepping on point.
Sure.
I think Mouth of Madness
like it.
Fantastic.
It's good,
And I even like Vampires. I love
it's
James
fun.
Woods.
It's fun.
It's a fun B movie.
Yeah.
And then you know what? So what? Ghost of Mars sucks. So what? The Ward.
I
Ghost
enjoy Ghost
of Mars. A million other great movies.
Sure, but again, if you really look at it, like those movies didn't make much money.
Yeah.
We as a family of fans of horror, we're the ones that nurture those films. The Thing was a bomb. They Live was a bomb. Big Trouble in Little China was a bomb. And it was, thank God for videotape and HBO and things like that these movies became so important to us, and we've helped John Carpenter's career. But it's just that at that moment in time, those movies weren't the hot thing. Look what he was competing with in the 80s. I mean, it was, it was hard to have his kind of horror. I mean, dude, one of my favorite John Carpenter movies is Christine.
Oh yeah, it's great.
And
Yeah.
it's I love Stephen King, and I love oldies music, and I love the car, and that movie
Yep.
scared me when that car was on fire chasing Buddy
Mm-hmm.
Ripperton down the street, man. I was like, oh my god! And that those headlights and that music, ding ding ding. It was everything that I wanted in a movie.
Sure.
And John gives me that, and I think that's why he is definitely one of the masters, is because he, with his storytelling, his visual storytelling, and his music, and his passion that he puts into the films is really what grabs me, and that's what I love about his
For
film.
me, it kind of feels like sacrilege, but I think it's the truth. A guy like Curry Barker, the Obsession guy,
Yeah,
he's probably the John Carpenter for this generation because, guys that are our age, at least me, I looked up at John Carpenter because it's like, this is a guy that got his fucking hands dirty and he knew how to stretch a budget. He's like, I'm gonna do the music.
yep,
I'm gonna write it. I'm gonna wear so many hats, and I'm gonna put out a great product. And Halloween for the longest time, I think Night of the Living Dead had the trophy for a while where it was the highest grossing independent film of all time. Then Halloween took the crown for a long time,
yep,
and now it's Obsession.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
And you have to imagine all of the people like in film school right now, they're probably all licking the boots of like, oh, they want to be Curry Barker
Probably.
because this is their generation. Is like, oh, there's probably going to be a lot of like modeling off of him, but that happened too. I remember, people have been ripping off Carpenter for a long time, and I really noticed when what is it? When It Follows came out, and Babadook. To me, those are the movies that kind of started the
Like
whole
the elevated.
elevated horror
Mm-hmm.
trend. It's like pre A24.
mm-hmm.
But to me, I think those were like the first two, like what, 12, 13, 15 years ago? I don't even know. But anyway, when I saw It Follows, that was the first movie where I'm like, oh God, the Carpenter influence is real. Everybody's starting to do their own electronic music.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's super minimalistic. And now I think we're finally over that because I think Curry Barker's taking it. Now it's all about it's gonna be Curry.
Yeah, I just wonder if I don't know if, and I had this conversation at breakfast today with my buddies. Um, I'm so influenced by so much. I respect my elders,
Yep.
like the filmmakers that have come before me that, have done so much that I've like taken, and especially the special effects artists too. I wonder if this younger generation has that respect for the guys that did it before them.
Good question.
Because
You hope they go dig.
I do hope. I do hope, and I
Yeah.
think that's with everything, and that's one of the reasons that things that I'm working on right now is really trying to, influence this new generation to take a step back and see where the history has come from, and like learning. I know it in music, it's huge. Like you can't go, you can't be a guitar player without let's say if you're 15 years old, maybe your idols are Tom Morello and Dimebag Darrell, but who was their hero? Eddie Van Halen. Who is his hero? Jimi Hendrix. I mean, and it can go down and down and down until you learn who are these influences that sparked the lightning in their in their soul.
Best example. How many people are fans of the Misfits because of Metallica? Fucking 98% of them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Misfits sold no records. I first of all, I love the Misfits. I'm a massive Misfits fan. I got into them through Metallica, man, because they covered like fucking 4 or 5 songs of them over the years, and they released them, and they gave those guys plenty of royalties. Being the biggest band in the world, it's like talk about good for them to like pay it forward, and they'll tell you. Jerry Only's been on record as saying it. It's like, yeah, Cliff Burton was wearing our shirts everywhere. All the band. There's literally photos of Metallica back in the day where almost every member in the same photo was wearing a Misfit shirt.
Yeah.
And nobody was, and this is after they were defunct. Like nobody bought, the few records that they had. They were lo-fi, which is part of the charm. They sounded like ass. It's kind of great. But yeah, man, you have to. You have to
but
go back
you got to remember. So Metallica breaks in like Kill 'Em All comes out in 1983. The Misfits have been broken up for fucking 2 years, so it was still new to them, and it was punk rock. It was fucking awesome. Like that was their cool card. You know what I mean? Like we listened to this. We listened to the fucking Misfits. And then you had like the guys in Southern California. Listening to Black Flag and shit like that. Like that stuff was still so new. The 70s was right there in the 80s. Like that 5-year gap. until like something like Kill 'Em All comes out. You know, you they were influenced by that, and for Metallica to kind of nurture the Misfits again, like that's kind of how I learned about the Misfits was through skateboarding.
Oh yeah,
Because
yeah.
like you
Sure.
would skateboard, and everything about skateboarding in the '80s was everything against anything cool and popular. And then skateboarding became cool and popular.
Yeah.
But in the early stages of it, it was just like you'd watch a skateboard video from Santa Cruz, and Agent Orange was on there, or Black Flag was on there, or whatever. So now you're like, you start going down that rabbit hole where you're lucky if you get to go to a record store and talk to a clerk that is just like, oh man, you like Fear? Oh well, you'll fucking love Black Flag. Or you like Black Flag, you'll love the Misfits, and then you fall down that rabbit hole, and you start grabbing at things that are like, oh man, this is really cool. And you start learning about it, and you take it all in, and then you see what influenced that, and then you're into Metallica, and then we see what Metallica has become, and
Danzig going solo and having like a hit with Mother that helped too. And
sure,
Hetfield
but
was
I mean,
Hetfield was on the first Danzig record. It's uncredited.
yeah, but
I mean, I'm sure most people know.
Danzig, kind of like my buddy Killjoy who passed away from necrophagia.
Yeah.
Those guys, it's their way or the highway, and I have much respect for that. Like Danzig, he knows what he wants to do, and he does it. When he got tired of the Misfits, and he went on to do Samhain, which was awesome shit too. And then when he was just like, all right, that's enough of that. And, now I'm going to go do my own thing, and started working with Rick Rubin and, doing the first Danzig record. The first two Danzig records are fucking bangers, dude.
Dude, my God, Todd, this guy, he's my fucking twin. Everything you're saying. So I was about to say, the first two Danzig records are absolutely perfect. After that, I fall off. I don't even like How the Gods Kill. I know people love Dirty Black Summer and Danzig 3, but I can't jive with it. I don't know why, but the first two, man.
Oh yeah,
just as good as anything the Misfits put out, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Fucking awesome. Yeah, I don't know, but you look at the Misfits and they had that reunion.
I was there.
Totally done with.
I went all the way to Chicago to see them.
Hell yeah!
When they played Riot Fest, it was almost died in the pit. I mean, it was fucking insane. It was insane.
And I caught him here in Phoenix and the hottest fucking day in the world. I mean, like insane. But you look at it and how many people turned out for these shows, and you mentioned Fear, which Fear actually was the opening band, that was cool to see, Fear and like AFI. But anyway, Fear's a band who was very influential, but they're like the starving artists, man. They never really got their due. They're probably not set for life, leaving, God bless him, dude. Dude's fucking old, and he was up there. He has to have a whole band of real young fucking bucks up there running around him, and he's still up there doing his thing. But then you look at the Misfits, and they, by all means, could have been the same way, but they're selling out these big places, and they started like fucking the whole horror rock thing too. It kind of branched out, but I really think it is like bands like Metallica, man, that just really fucking elevated that. But it was great. It was great to see Misfits get their due. And by the way, at Riot Fest, I don't know if it was the same way, but dude, they didn't use their monitors. Like they used their monitors for graphics, but like if you weren't like close enough, like I was, you weren't seeing shit because they had these big monitors and they weren't showing the band at all.
No, they just they just showed horror movie clips and
stuff like that, and like artwork and stuff from singles and stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm like, dude, if I was looking at people way back in the lawn, I'm like, man, I don't know, are they pissed or what? Because you fucking couldn't see, but they sounded amazing.
Yeah.
And we're talking about like 1.5, 2 minute long songs, so they pretty much played everything from both of those fucking greatest hits compilations, which is pretty much everything. It's just like you got everything. You got like fucking 40, 50 songs. It felt like I don't think they didn't play anything.
No,
I can't think of anything.
Thank God those songs were that short, because when I was at Riot Fest, it was a destination. This is the first time seeing the Misfits in 30-something years.
Yeah.
So, like, that was the plan, was to try to get up as close as we could. And I'm with my wife, and I'm with my buddy Superfan Rob, who's like the biggest Danzig fan in the whole freaking world. So he's already been waiting up in the front for hours and hours to get close. But my wife and I and a few friends, we kind of like started in the back, and then kind of like a Plinko chip, like ding, 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 and started moving our way as the crowd started moving. So by the time the Misfits come on to play, I'm probably like 4 rows of people back, and I'm getting crushed. And then we start moving a little closer. Next thing you know, I'm up against the barricade, and I look over to the security guard, and I'm like, "Dude, I'm 6'3". I am 250 pounds. If I need you to get me out of here, you need like 2 or 3 guys to pull me out of here because like I'm having a hard time breathing because you're
Yeah, I
up
bet,
against
dude.
there. There's the heat. Even though it's nighttime, the heat was so hot, and I'm sitting there and I'm like getting smushed and crushed, and I'm using all my strength to not like crush the girl who's in front of me, who's like trying to bite my arm because she thinks I'm trying to take her spot.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, Fred, you just need to calm down. And like, the first song goes off, and I'm like, okay, well, you know what? This is going to be over in 20 minutes. They were the Misfits were so pumped that they sang so fast, and they blast through that 40-song set or whatever it was, and I survived with sweat from thousands of people all over me. It was disgusting, but it was one of the greatest experiences of my life, seeing the Misfits with Glenn. And I've through the years, I've known Jerry, and my respect for the Misfits has always been so huge. Again, from their iconic, Crimson Ghost to the music and all the stuff that they've created. I mean, like, man, they're a treasure for sure.
I saw the only time I met George Romero, I went to a Mad Monster. It's convenient con out here in Phoenix, and this particular year they were holding it in Scottsdale, and I went out there to get Todd here an autograph from George, and this was months before he died. And I went there. To be fair, it was a Sunday. Obviously, their foot traffic's less on a Sunday, but I always get a little sad when I go into these places and dude, the tumbleweeds. Nobody is talking to George. I'm like, are you guys fucking out of your fucking mind?
Yeah.
And George has got a corner table, and on the adjacent corner or whatever that would be, it's Doyle from the Misfits, and he's in full makeup. Like whenever he's done these cons, he's like shirtless sometimes. I think he had like a cut off thing. You can see his nipples regardless.
Yeah.
And he's full makeup, bolts, and he's standing here like this. And I of course want to go up to him and fucking yap. No one's talking to him either. He's like just kind of talking with the dude from Night 90, the Gas Keys, the fucking guy.
Billy Butler.
Billy Butler. He's just like kind of just shooting the shit with Billy Butler. And anyway, he's one of those guys where, and Danzig would be the same way. Like, I don't really want to go talk to him because he always seems like he doesn't want to be where he's at. Because and that's just his demeanor. I get it. Yeah. But then I've seen interviews with Doyle where, have you seen this interview where he was talking about how the state of the industry now and nobody buys music. So I have to fucking do meet and greets. I don't want to fucking meet people. Like, I read that interview about like 15 years ago, and it stuck with me. And I'm like, I don't want to go talk to him because he probably doesn't want to be here. He's probably just trying to make extra coin. So I'm not going to go up there.
Like Doyle and Jerry are prime examples of like, being a true punk rocker where like, you're lucky when you're playing your music and then you're living the day job. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I got putting the makeup on again to go do these kind of things.
I don't know what I would have said. I regret it because it was like being in a small corner with nobody else and fucking dressed up Doyle, and I didn't say anything because I was too chicken shit. I'm like, I don't know what I would say to you besides, I like your music, man.
Yeah, it's funny. In my history, I've met a lot of people, but the only ones that I get really nervous around are professional wrestlers because I'm such.
Really?
Old school wrestling is like my favorite thing in the world. And, when I meet wrestlers, I have a Holy Grail poster. It's like an 80s Coliseum video poster. It's signed by 93 of the greatest wrestlers of all time. And I mean, I've driven from Pittsburgh all the way down to Georgia just to get my poster signed and then turn back around and come back. Like, it's an obsession. Especially because these old timers, man, they're not getting any younger, and I'm not getting any younger. I was watching these guys when I was 8 to 10. Now they're in their 70s. Some of them are in their 80s. Like I just met Baron von Raschke. He's got to be like 90 years old. Dory Funk just passed away. He was another one that was up there. Thank God I got him on my poster. But these guys that we admire, don't be afraid just to say hello. You know, it'll spark that goodness in
Dude,
their heart, man.
I feel you, man, but I had literally just read this article where he was talking about I don't want to fucking meet people.
Yeah,
Like he's like,
I
I was
know.
like, wow, well,
I hear you. I hear you.
and he
I read that
literally
article
is
too.
doing he's literally doing the impress me, bro. He's cross arms standing up. He's not sitting down. He is standing up doing this shit like he's security. Like,
Yeah.
and he looks like Frankenstein. You know what the fuck? So,
Yeah.
but I regret it, man. I should have just been like, yeah, whatever, man.
No,
my dad was that type of guy.
I was at a con one time, and John Carpenter was there, and he had nobody at his table. But
Fucking
yet,
weird.
the girl from The Walking Dead or something like was there, and she had a line wrapped around the building.
Oh,
And I'm like, this breaks my freaking heart. Like,
Yes.
people realize who is right here. Like, this is one of the greatest filmmakers of our generation, and you're just gonna get some girl who's on a TV show for 2 episodes.
And she died, and she's like, she's hot for 15 minutes.
Yeah,
And that's the way it was. Every time somebody got killed off in The Walking Dead, that was their big con season, and then most of them don't work again.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't blame them. Make your money. But
speaking of con,
there's always one guest, Todd, though, I was going to say, that kind of takes it all from everybody else. And I remember this one particular con, it was Linda Blair, which, she deserves it too.
Yeah.
But like, everybody's wrapped around the corner for Linda Blair. But guys, George Romero, fucking these guys, what? Like, because the prices have gotten so insanely high that people can't afford to get everybody.
Yeah.
So they all just, I don't know, they all flock to one person, and they all, whoever's the king of the hill, I don't know, but it's used to, families would save up annually in their vacation, they go to Disney World. Now it's like they go to Mad Monster here in Phoenix or whatever your con is, and that's like their family vacation, because horror is generational, all that stuff's amazing. But yeah, it's like, dude, they're fucking blowing 2 mortgage payments.
Oh yeah, I mean, especially now that everybody is at least $60.
Yeah,
dude.
And I have a book this big of autographs from like all the years that I've been doing conventions. I used to go to the Fangoria Weekend of Horror shows back in the 90s.
Yeah.
And that's when you would pay for like the gold pass, and all your autographs are free.
Mm-hmm.
So you would just you'd go there, you'd bring your little book or whatever. They would all sign their things, and then when Totec started doing conventions in the early 2000s, you could still get everybody's autograph. Like Tom Savini used to sign for free. Bill Mosley,
he ain't fucking signing shit for free now. Let me tell you,
Bill Mosley, $10, $20,
And you'd get a picture too. They would just like combo everything.
Yeah.
Now it's like everything's a la carte. It was going around. It's gotten to the point where, when somebody has their pricing list, they'll go viral because people take pictures, and it'll go, because it looks, sometimes it's like fucking egregious. And I get it. They've got, I think Sean Clark's a nice guy, but your Sean Clark types, they got business people that are like, oh, you do this, they're all talking to each other, you can charge this, they'll pay for it, I get away with this, and then they all fucking start raising them. Dude, somebody was passing around photos of Debbie Dunning. Do you guys remember her?
Mm-hmm.
She was the Tool Time girl.
Yeah.
And she had her whole like fucking laundry list of prices. Not only was like, it's normal, dude, like a selfie is money, a fucking autograph is separate. If I'm signing this, it's different. And then she had one for hugs. Were like $20. And I'm thinking to myself, isn't that like the fucking oldest profession in the world?
Yeah.
So what the fuck is this? Like, I would look at that, and I think I would have to say something like, look, capitalism, if people pay it, who am I to judge? But I fucking don't even want to meet you right now.
Yeah, no, and it's really tough too, because like I was there when that all changed.
Mm-hmm.
So like, I'm you're doing
Walking Dead.
So you're doing conventions, and the next thing you know, you have all these like icons that are coming to these horror conventions, and they're being reasonable. They're charging $20. They're having a decent line, and now you have these Walking Dead characters that are like, no, we're going to be 40. Yep. And now we want money for the photo too, because the photo ops started coming, and this is right before like the professional photo ops. So now you're taking selfies at the table, and this is more money. And then Joe Schmo over here, who's like, man, I'm only $20, and this guy, I'm in an iconic movie. This guy's on episodic television right here, and he's charging $40. I need to start charging $40. Then the guy you're sitting next to is like, you're charging $40? Maybe I should charge $40. So it changed overnight. And the thing is, just like the pandemic and all the bullshit, man, we we're lemmings, man. We just go and pay it. We want it, we pay it. Eggs went
And
up to $5. We pay
yeah,
$5 for eggs or whatever.
Yeah.
and
And now we're
I
paying $60
Do,
for
and,
autographs.
and I kind of
Daniel
go.
Harris, go ahead.
No, no, I was gonna say I kind of go for the experience now. Which Aaron and I just went to
Vendors.
Living
I
Dead
like vendors.
weekend. We went there for the experience. I mean, I saved up all my money. I don't know if you went to Living Dead weekend, Fred, because you're
I was
right
there,
down the
yeah.
street,
I was there.
um, but it was amazing, dude. Like we did a lot of filming with it, and yeah, man, it's an experience. Like when it comes to little smaller cons like that, I just get so much more out of them. Um, Regardless if I'm going to buy any autographs or not. It's just like being around like-minded people. If you're going to these bigger cons, I mean, a lot of these people aren't. I mean, like you're saying, they're like there for one Walking Dead fan, or person. It's just like
Yeah.
it's not the same
It's
as
a bummer what that did though, because The Walking Dead was the first time that we ever had something that was genre based, that was mainstream and current, where it wasn't people wanting to go meet Richard Keel, Jaws, or
Yeah.
fuck it, whatever. It was on TV now, and it just exploded. And you have Norman Reedus coming in, just making, I don't know, fucking $250,000 in a weekend, just walking out of there.
Yeah.
And some people have to realize you're not Norman Reedus, but it would rise everybody. And yeah, and I felt bad because Norman Reedus is a bit of an outlier. I think he's always gonna be a presence, but you have like these people that died off,
Mm.
whatever, and they were on one season. And yeah, they would literally take all the business from these guys that this used to be their income. They're not working anymore. And this was their way to maybe make ends meet. And now, dude, literally, I would go to these events at the rise of Walking Dead, that first few seasons, and Richard Keel comes to mind. I swear to God, I didn't see one person at his fucking table all weekend.
Stuart
I'm
Gordon,
like,
same
this
way
is
when I was
like,
there. Yeah,
it's just like God, and he's like old, he's ailing, he's in his wheelchair, and he died just like a year or two later. I
hmm
mean, and you feel bad.
hmm
And I know they have guarantees and stuff like that, but I just, when you're walking past and like they're trying to engage with you and waving at you, it makes me feel bad
Yeah.
because like they shouldn't have to like hook
yeah,
you in.
Yeah. Well, that's
Uh,
what that's why, like, right now, the film world is really hurting bad.
mhm.
California is dying a slow death. And
Good riddance,
there's a lot
in
of
my opinion.
and there's a lot of actors who aren't working, and these conventions are the only way that they're making some money.
sure, yeah,
And us as fans, they've given us such great experiences with movies. We take those movies to heart, and we love these movies. And I'm, like I said, wrestling is important to me. I don't care if I have to spend $200 on the Undertaker's autograph. It's because the Undertaker's giving me so much joy. I just kind of
sure,
like, I bite my lip and I fucking do it because
yeah,
does he need my money? Probably not.
hmm
But I need him. I need him on that
hmm
poster. Like, as a collector, which a lot of us are. You know what I mean? I
yeah,
can see all the awesome stuff behind you guys.
yeah,
We collect this shit because it's so personal to us.
hmm
And when there's something we want as horror fans, like we'll dig deep into the pockets and maybe eat peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for the next week just to have it.
100%, yeah,
And that's the beautiful thing about our community
hmm
is we kind of take we take care of each other and support each other. And it's easy to sniff out the new and kind of like, okay, whatever. I'm not gonna support them. Let all these other people support them. I'm gonna go and get Stuart Gordon's autograph, or I'm
hmm
gonna go get somebody who I want, Camille Keaton,
hmm
or somebody like that who is iconic in our in the genre that we want.
yeah,
So it's just different. It's just crazy. And toe tag, when we first started, we were doing so many conventions, and then I got to the point where I'm like, I need to get out of the circus, man. Like, it's just when The Walking Dead came in, and don't get me wrong, like, if I was 12 years old when The Walking Dead came out, it would be my favorite show. I mean, it was
sure,
brutal. Like, the effects were fantastic. It was
hmm
awesome. Um, but I just didn't like what it was doing to the con world, to where, like, myself and other independent filmmakers are there, and people are coming up to our table and be like, "Hey, do you have any Walking Dead stuff?" And I'm like,
ugh,
"No." Like, keep on moving.
Dude, gatekeeping's a bad thing. I get it, but
Yeah.
sometimes it's kind of a good thing,
Yeah.
depending on, you know, you know what I mean. And in this case, yeah, I mean, I think it's great that you saw like little kids all over the place dressing as zombies. I love all that. That's it should be for everybody. But yeah, when it starts business and there's a different attitude that starts polluting it. And I think about, I agree with what you're saying about, you know, they're there for me. I'll pay what I got to pay. But the only problem is if you go to like a convention that has like multiple wrestlers, there's you're already spent with the Undertaker. Like you probably can't, like you can't get everybody that you would want to get. Dude, I was so excited because, well, I mean, I knew I wasn't going to be able to afford it, but Mad Monster a couple years ago, right before Ozzy, the last Sabbath concert, and Ozzy passed away, they announced he was going to start doing cons.
Yeah.
And he was going to come to Mad Monster Phoenix. And I'm like, awesome. What the fuck is this going to cost?
Yeah.
And never even had a chance because literally, you know, and there's some big marquee guests, like usually Robert England. Of course, Ozzy was one of these guys where they've got him secluded in their own hall room. You're not going to see him in the wild.
Yeah.
They're locked away, and they're going to be letting you in like cattle into this special room.
Yeah.
And it literally, just to get in the door, it was going to cost a mortgage payment. And you had to pay for all of the Osbournes. You couldn't a la carte it because they know what's up.
Yeah.
Everybody's going to fucking go to Ozzy. But you had to get all of the Osbournes. Therefore, you have to pay for all of the Osbournes. It was literally going to cost $1,500.
Yeah.
And if you want to get a photo with just Ozzy, more on top of it. And I'm thinking to myself, God, if I made it in that fucking room, can I request that me and Ozzy are at least on the end so I can crop it out?
Yeah.
Like, I like the Osbournes. I actually like them all. I love jazz. I think they're cool. But I'm like, this is too much. And who do they think the average Ozzy Osbourne fan is? I bet you $1 million. It's a lot of people washing dishes.
Yeah.
And so it's like, dude, I don't care how much you dig into your pockets. Like I couldn't, if I wanted to still be married, dude, I couldn't have fucking paid a couple.
No. I mean,
I
get it. I get it completely. I mean, it's especially like what's going on right now with, you know, concerts being so expensive.
Yeah.
You know, there was a moment before COVID where my wife and I went to we saw 93 live acts in a year. I mean, so we were going like 3 nights a week to see bands and festivals and things like that. And it got to the point now where like, you know, I'm lucky if I see 2 or 3 concerts a year because I've seen everybody, one. And now I'm like, well, I'd rather support smaller bands that are, you know, still charging $15 to $20.
Absolutely.
And, you know, unfortunately, I'm not going to go see bands like Clutch. It's like one of my favorite bands. I've seen Clutch since the 90s when they were fucking $15. Yeah. And now they're more, and, you know, now they have a huge fan base and they're so much bigger. And I've seen them, you know, I couldn't tell you how many times I've fucking seen them, but it's like, I'm going to go support the other guys now. Like I still love Clutch. I'll always listen to Clutch. I buy their records, but, you know, maybe it's time for me to, you know, go see some other bands and put my money towards other bands and help them out.
Man, bands like Clutch or these are still big fan bases or not. They might be comfortable like in the C tier somewhere. Yeah. And you can't.
Well, they're $70. $70.
Yeah, $70. You might be able to get nosebleeds for $70. Dude, Metallica in 1997, those tickets cost $30. Yeah. $30. Yeah. Now it's like a couple hundred. But yeah, it's just you can't afford it. It's just it's such. I live in Phoenix, dude. We get every show under the sun here, and I come from Springfield, Missouri originally, dude. It was like that's like a C market.
Yeah,
pretty much anybody comes through, you fucking you go and see it. Like just even if you're not a big fan, if it's in town, like hey, I'm going because I'm hungry.
No shows in Nebraska, so I
Nebraska's worse. Yeah, but dude, I get everything now. I've been in Phoenix for 15 years. No, what am I? 12 years. And I'm just spoiled, dude. It's like it's so expensive. Like now I'm like, it's a Wednesday. It's a work night. I'm not gonna go there. I've got all these like different things that has to pass, but yeah, it's just so expensive, man. One thing you mentioned, I don't want to forget. You were talking about wrestling.
Yeah.
So I have to ask, what did you think about all of the fucking hoopla and backlash, and regardless of how you feel about the matter, but a lot of the disrespect or opinions that were going on when Hulk died?
Okay, so you know you're talking to somebody who loves Hulk Hogan,
you know? And everybody was just
too,
like,
man.
"Look, you might have your opinions on Hulk Hogan,
sure,
but the guy just died. It's like everybody's
Yeah.
like jumping for. It's like he wasn't fucking Hitler, guys.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no,
Like for fuck's sake.
yeah,
Like
and and again, like I posted something on my social media talking about Hulk Hogan, and of course, dude, friends of mine are being started talking shit, and I was just like, all right. One thing that I do, when it comes to my social media, I understand what social media is, and you're
Sure.
definitely going to get your haters popping up on this stuff. And once you go back and be like, "Fuck you, stop hating my shit," that's when you just cause more drama. So I kind of just let it go. You said your piece. You don't like fucking Hulk Hogan. I'll like the post, like, boop, whatever. Get the fuck out of here. But that was a really hard week for me.
Yeah.
I 2 weeks prior or whatever it was, a week and a half prior, I'm sitting on my couch watching Back to the Beginning, Ozzy's last concert.
I bought that too.
You're talking to a guy that when Tony Iommi was diagnosed with cancer, me and my friends flew to England to see Black Sabbath, because they were only doing 3 shows, and we thought this was it.
Is that when they did the final show?
Yeah,
in Birmingham
so we went.
last time,
So they did the Download Festival, which used to be the Monsters of Rock in Donington Park, and then they did the one out in Birmingham, and then they did Lollapalooza. That was like the 3 shows that they did, and then they stopped for a while, and then they recorded the 13 album right after that. But we went, because that's how big of an Ozzy fan and Black Sabbath fan that I am. Is we went fucking to England to go see Black Sabbath. And I'm sitting on my couch. I'm watching the beginning. I'm crying like a baby because like I'm watching one of my heroes can't get up, but his voice still sounded amazing. I could see, his aura and spirit on stage. Man, I really felt it, and I felt it from the people there and everything. It was really a magical thing. Ozzy passes away, and it's like holy fucking shit. Like that's not what I wanted. I knew it was coming. We know he wasn't doing good and he was sick and he knew it was coming. And then Hulk passes away. Another person who I've met personally. I grew up in New Jersey. So like growing up in New Jersey, that's the home of the WWF and WWE, so like back in the 80s, guys, $5. I was going to the Meadowlands Arena, Madison Square Garden, the Philadelphia Spectrum, to watch wrestling for $5 on the weekends with my friends.
Yeah.
Growing up, dude, I couldn't tell you how many times I've seen Hulk Hogan. And Hulk Hogan, the character, inspired me to be big and strong, to be a good person.
Eat your
vitamins. Eat your vitamins. Yeah, take your vitamins.
Take those vitamins, those attributes that he had, that he instilled, even, and then you realize, this is Terry Bollea. I remember how I found out his name was Terry. So my mom, she used to get her nails done at this place in New Jersey. And one day she's like, "You're coming with me to get my nails done. I got a surprise for you." And I'm like, "I don't want to go." She's like, No, you got to go. So we go down to the nail place and she's like, "Hey, go in the back. There's somebody who I want you to meet." So I go into the back of the nail salon, and sitting in this chair barefoot with no shirt on is the Tonga Kid. All right, the Tonga Kid, he was one of the Islanders.
Yeah.
Haku. And I sit down, and 12-year-old me is sitting next to him, and I'm all nervous. I'm not saying a word. We're watching like 3 Stooges episodes on TV. And he's like, "You have any questions for me, man?" And I'm like, "What's Hulk Hogan's real name?" And he looks, he kind of leans in close. And he's like, "Terry." And I remember being crushed because his name was Terry. And as a little boy, I thought that was a girl's name. I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like, are you telling me the strongest guy on the planet, the guy that rips his shirt off, his name is Terry? And he told me, he's like, "Brother," he's like, "Terry's the best. He's taking care of all of us." And at the time, I'm kind of like wondering what that means. But later on, you find out that like he was changing the business. These guys that were making, $20 a night, driving 300 miles to the next venue, they're making, now they're making $1,000 a week. Even more if you're on the card with him. So over the years, I've always followed wrestling. Always loved Hulk Hogan. When he went to WCW, I followed him over there. NWO, and seeing all that amazing stuff happen. I eventually got to meet Hulk at San Diego Comic-Con.
Nice.
And, we hit it off, man. And he talked to me like I've known him my whole life, dude. He was telling me he just got back from Mexico. having to get some injections into his back, and I'm like, I can't believe he's like being so candid with me. But as much as I wanted to like scream like a little girl and hug him, like hug his leg, all I could think of, that's all, I was just, this is fucking Hulk Hogan, and now I'm 6'3" and he's almost eye level because of, he's shrunk down a little bit.
All the surgeries and all the stuff.
Sure.
Yeah,
so, we just kind of hung out, man, and talked, and that was like the greatest day, of meeting the Hulkster. So when Hulk passed, and I, the stuff that happened with him, with the sex tape, and just with the
racial stuff,
the racial stuff, man, that stuff was just taken out of context. We all say stupid shit.
Yeah,
we all do. So somebody cuts us off, and they might not be white. Maybe you say something stupid in your car, in your private.
Well, I gotta just put it out there. I've not said that, because everybody's gonna think,
I'm not. I'm just saying. Sometimes you say things when you're just it's word vomit.
People
it's
make
a little
mistakes.
different being in the public eye too.
Yeah, and when he
if you had a camera in your face,
he didn't do that with the camera in front of his face, dude. He did that,
No, it was recorded.
He just got done blowing a load in a girl. You know what I mean? Like,
Bubba loves sponge.
Bubba loves sponge.
So like he was at an intimate moment, and he was going through a lot of shit, man. His son just is going to be charged for vehicular manslaughter. His daughter, his marriage is falling apart. All this fucking shit's going on. Like, he's a human being.
But when you're of status, though, there's going to be people that want that when they get it. And, I always think about Dog the Bounty Hunter, too. It's like Dog the Bounty Hunter's son entrapped him, got him on a phone call. He knew a sensitive issue with him. And he started poking the bear because he knew he could get him in the right state to slip something. And his kid was a junkie, and he, of course, sold it. So, it's if you're somebody famous, there's going to be people that are coming at you.
Always.
And the thing, and I'm not famous, but if I was, dude, everybody, if you have enough eyes on you, or you have enough people wanting to capitalize off of you, they could see you in a bad moment. Yeah, maybe not like saying the N-word or whatever, but have I ever said anything I regretted? Of course. Have I ever been in a bad mood, or I wasn't in my best behavior and I felt bad? How do we know some of these people didn't feel bad about it?
Sure.
Like right after, because we're all human. Dude, I've done so many things that, like, God, I should have said that. Yeah. I'm gonna go apologize, or I should.
No, dude, and we all have good days and bad days. Like you brought up Linda Blair, and my worst experience with a celebrity was with Linda Blair.
Because all she wanted to talk about was her fucking dogs.
I caught her on a bad day.
Yeah.
And I've met so many people that said she's amazing, but you know what, man, she was not amazing to me that day.
Kind of like us and Tom Savini, but yeah.
I've had multiple. Sorry, no offense. You're probably friends with Tom.
I am.
And it's not personal with Tom either with me, but I've had multiple experiences with him where he's got a bit of a reputation. I think he knows it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, he does.
He's a bit prickly, and he's kind of burned us multiple times. But I got it all. It's not personal.
No, it's not personal.
But I will say, there was a point where we stopped going with the Tom.
Sure.
Tom's table.
No.
And it's just like, you know what?
First time I met him, he was a dick to me too. So
and I'm sure if you're tight with him and the veil comes off, whatever. I get it. It's just kind of a personality. I don't think it's really personal. Like I said, I grew up. My dad was like this type of dude. I know how they are. But yeah, I mean, it probably hurts business after a while. I'm sure somebody probably eventually said, "Hey, man, you got a reputation, man. Clean it up." And people want to.
We bust his chops about it. But he's an old timer, man. He's been doing it. Yeah. He's been doing it a long time, and
he's a goat, yeah.
But he still wants to go out there and meet the fans. He still wants that. It's just sitting at the table when you're telling the same stories over and over and over and over and over and over again. It gets it gets overwhelming. So, but again, we're all people. We have good days and we have bad days. I know I try my best to be, to give people a good experience, because I want people to, have, there's nothing worse than being fucking angry and pissed off, or just walking around moping. Life's not good. I want people, if we were happy all the time, like, things would be so much better,
Dude, I remember, and like I said, this is just a story that it's actually, I love it because it's just become a core memory.
It's lore.
For
It's
me
lore.
and my like best friend. It's great. But see, Todd, he wanted to go to his school, right? He grew up. He
Yeah.
got me into Savini and Dawn and stuff when we met, and we went to this first con that had Savini at it, and he was so excited, man. I was so bummed for my friend. I don't give a flying fuck if people. I don't really care about meeting celebrities. It doesn't do anything for me. I'm not really a big autograph person. If people like it, that's great. It doesn't really do a lot for me. I like the experience. But anyway, so we were going up to Tom's table. Nobody's there. It's like, he was totally open. And we go up there, and you even wanted to get a movie signed, which is what he was doing. Like what? And he was talking to his handler, who was a very attractive younger woman. And he just goes, "Excuse me, can't you tell I'm in a conversation with this lovely woman right now? Like, I'm fucking bit like, whoa, holy shit. Like, I'm sorry, you're at a convention at your table and this is your handler and we're coming up to you with product." And he just bit our heads off. And I remember just kind of finding it hilarious, but I felt bad for Todd. I'm like, oh man, that's like if James Hetfield did that to me, like, oh, crush, or whoever. And it happened a few times, whatever. It's not personal, but it's just like,
Yeah.
probably not going to your table anymore.
Yeah.
But
sorry about that, man.
No.
I'm telling you, I don't care.
It's not personal. It's not
it's
personal.
lore. It's just lore.
It's something. We go back to.
But the Hulk thing was really sad. I just wanted to bring that up because you brought up wrestling, because we got it too, man. We paid tribute to Hulk for fucking 2 minutes at the start of, and we didn't hear the fucking end of it. And I'm like, what are you guys talking about? Like, it's the guy said a few things that might have been crass or not in good taste. You don't fucking know.
I love Hulk.
Get over it. He changed the business.
Yeah.
Separate the art from the artist.
Yeah. He did more than change the business, man. He took time with children who, with the Make-A-Wish Foundation, like the Make-A-Wish Foundation wouldn't have been able to do what it's done for all these generations if it wasn't for people like Hulk Hogan and it would now what John Cena has done. But I mean, like, this is a guy that took time and gave sick children hope. And you're gonna like throw him completely under the bus for talking out of context, like one time.
Asinine.
Yeah.
And if you're somebody that's done some bad things or you've made mistakes, but the good far outweighs it, that's called a human being. Yeah. That's like people. And when you have these people that it's the opposite. Yeah, fucking Adolf Hitler, I think his bad outweighed any good. Yeah, those are the kind of people, but they treat everybody like they're fucking Adolf Hitler. And I don't know where that culture came from in the past like fucking decade, but if somebody does anything, if you fucking fart while somebody's eating, you are Adolf Hitler, you're a Nazi like what the hell happened with all this stuff?
This is what happened. The internet, now that everybody's got a fucking voice.
Yeah.
And that's what garners clicks.
Yep.
It's the rage bait. It's the arguments and all that stuff. So I don't engage in it either. I mean, I'm on some of this stuff.
No, man, I refuse, dude. I remember when my Internet Movie Database page was up there. There was a thing where it says like, there's trivia about filmmakers and stuff like that. One of the things said about me was like, you could spot Fred Vogel from his cowboy hat and assless chaps.
Oh, jeez.
I could have contacted IMDb.
Is that a bad thing?
Yeah, I could have contacted them and been like, take that shit down. I didn't give a fuck.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you know what, people know me. Like,
don't feed it.
Yeah, it's again exactly. I'm not going to sit there and dwell on it. I don't care. Talk your shit.
We get so much hate all the time, man. I love
Fred,
it.
You suck. You're a hack filmmaker. Yeah. I just got right before I got on line with you guys. I had a fan send me. He got a tattoo of like the victim mask from August Underground.
I saw that. Did you post it?
I just posted it.
Hell yeah!
Right before we did the show, and it's just like, you know what, man? There are, you can call me a hack all you want, man, but there are people out there that love my art and respect what I do, and fuck you. Like, I can really care. I can really care less. Like,
it's the old cliche, man. The people that waste that much energy to cut people down like that, it's projecting. They're miserable people. That's what everybody says. It's true.
Yeah.
Because like, I don't know about you, man, but if you're busy and you've got your plate is full and your life is full, you really shouldn't give two shits if somebody has something wrong to say.
Yeah.
They're expelling so much energy and you just can't be bothered. Like that shows the difference.
Yeah.
But I can't imagine anybody like who's really wasting that much. Who has that energy and time? Guess what? It's people without a full life. It's people without loved ones, family, or a career that makes them satisfied. It's people that are miserable in whatever jobs they're working. Maybe they do all live in their mom's basement or whatever.
No, people
Whatever.
people want engagement, and sometimes you get engagement from talking negative, So they just have to put on that villain hat, and it's like, okay, well, I'll be the villain, but at least now I get to at least talk to somebody, because in my day to day, I don't talk to anybody. I am in my mom's basement, or I am hurting because I'm an introvert, or I battle mental illness, or whatever. Times are tough right now for a lot of people, and I think it's easy to spew hate than it is to spew positivity, man. And like, if people just spewed more positivity, man, this would be such a better fucking place. But like, again, we're living in a world of just we're living in a fucking Twilight Zone episode right now, guys.
Yeah.
Not naming names. Todd and I, we know a guy that literally he's one of those dudes where he's got multiple troll accounts where he gets off like it, and outwardly he might not seem like he's depressed, but I have to think, dude, there's something going on there, because he literally gets his jollies by having troll accounts and starting all this bullshit. I'm like, dude, I got fucking 2 kids, man. I don't know where you finding this fucking time. Like, is that your hobby? Yeah. Is that your hobby? Because I don't have time for all the hobbies I wish I had time for.
Sure,
I'm not making time for that.
But there are people that don't have thick skins, and that shit really weighs on them. And then they go home and they can't sleep at night. Now they take it out on their family, or they take it out on themselves and think, oh, I'm no good. People hate me. They don't like my movie. They don't like my art. They don't like me as a person. Whatever. That shit weighs on the average human. You know what I mean? Like, of course, I'd love everybody to be kind and like what I do, but like, there's a lot of people on this planet, man, and not everybody's gonna like you. And you just have to understand that. I think we don't understand that enough, because we live in these little personal bubbles, and we view things now through a screen, and we get dopamine hits from a screen. Where you don't even talk to each other at the dinner table. You go out, dude, I go to restaurants, I see people on dates not even talking to each other. They're both on their phone.
Yeah, they're both on their phone.
It's
crazy.
Fucking
weird. I see it all the time.
It's really it's a scary time, It's a real scary time.
Well, as far as criticism, it's a badge of honor, man. I mean, the thing is, if somebody's talking shit, it means you did something.
Yeah,
you finished something. You complete. What do they fucking do? So we
gotta wind down.
Say
something in my fucking face.
Exactly, pussies. Hey,
I want to say something. What? Okay, I want to kind of start wrapping it up. I had one question for Fred. I did want him to answer before he left.
I'm not doing it.
You have to answer it. You have to.
I'm not doing it. Fuck you guys.
Okay. So this is
he's not going to show his dick.
Well, he's a horror fan, and this is kind of horror news that's out right now. And we kind of talked about it last stream with the whole Robert Englund thing. What do you think about Robert Englund coming back for one more?
He doesn't need to. He doesn't need to.
He doesn't need to. Okay.
He doesn't need to.
He doesn't need to.
Do you think he should? No. Okay.
No. I think so. I mean, personally, if they think they can find a new audience with Nightmare on Elm Street, good. I mean, they don't need my money, obviously, but I think Nightmare on Elm Street's been dormant for a little too long, that they have to pretty much reintroduce it to a whole new generation at this point. All I could speak of is me, and I don't have any interest in seeing a Nightmare on Elm Street film without Robert Englund. And that's probably, look, I get it. They recast Dracula how many times? It's not going to be Bela Lugosi, whatever.
Yeah.
But I get it. But it's just how I feel. I just feel like they give him enough money, and I feel like there's a movie there. I know he's complaining like, I don't want to do the fucking makeup. I'm like, bro, go sit in a chair for 2 days, do all of your scenes in a few days, do your close-ups, get a stunt guy to do the rest of it, fucking say your shit. Like, I know they want a franchise. So, if they got him for one more, they ain't getting him for more than that. I mean, he's getting up there. But writers, do your job, man. Write like I think they should retell the Nightmare on Elm Street movie from the ground up and write the Freddy character to cater who he is now. Like, dude, Freddy can be an old diddler, and that's still scary as shit. Mm-hmm. They can work with who he is. Freddy had redesigns all over the place. The Jurassic redesign worked with New Nightmare. People were very interested in that, regardless of how you feel it turned out. people were still interested in it, and he's a totally different entity in that movie, looks completely different. Do it again. You can take that liberty. This is me being selfish.
Well, and the fact that they're doing two
But
movies, Warner Brothers
well,
doing
they're
one,
doing that whole arms race thing where
and
we're gonna
Paramount's
have
both
fucking
doing one. So
Jason, Friday the 13th. It's all that fucking legal bullshit.
yeah,
But I feel like writers do your job. If they could bring back Robert Englund, tell the story, begin his story and end his story in one movie, and somehow do your little writing job and introduce something in that a magical movie to where we're going to care about how it continues without Robert. I believe in you, you know, but they don't want writers to actually fucking write and do something ballsy, and they won't do it. I mean, who the fuck am I? I'm just saying I wish they would. They can do it.
You know, it's the Hollywood machine is completely different. It's not about the art anymore. It's all about what they can do to make money.
yeah.
And the algorithm of that, you know, the test markets they put things through nowadays. I mean, look what, you know, movies. You know, I hate to shit on things, man, but like movies aren't that good right now. I think it's probably, you know, one of the worst eras that we've had in a long time. Everything is just so cookie cutter. There is no passion behind anything. There's no art behind anything. You know, everybody. You know, there's so many studio notes when you're making
cough,
something.
cough, Blumhouse.
Yeah,
you got Blumhouse just pump it. They've got their formula, man, and they got it down.
Well,
like, you know,
that's the thing is, you know, as horror fans, we'll go see anything, man. We're chasing the fucking dragon, boys.
Yeah, I know.
You know what I mean? Like, God, I hope there's something good. You know, there's not a horror movie. There's not a horror movie that comes out that I don't want to go see. I want something great. You know, I really do, but I end up getting let down more and more, and it's just like, oh well, but at least I supported it. You know, I take that away from it.
Well,
but I
the
mean,
whole
like,
Eli Roth,
and you know, in a lot of movies now, like, you know, everything, you know, everything dies in the third act. The third act's a movie 100% right now.
100%, yeah.
Like, you know, you have a great first act, you have a great second act, and then all of a sudden your third act turns to shit, man. And that's like,
that's where all the meddling comes from. That's where the testing goes. Like, oh, they didn't like this reveal. No, they didn't like that.
It's so true. You know, you can't, like, one of the things I've always been proud about my movies, I don't give happy endings. You know, if I made studio films on every single movie I made, they'd be like, fuck this ending. You can't have this ending.
Dude, that's why I love the fucking Mist. You remember when that came out? And that bleak as hell fucking change from the book? And I remember watching it. I'm like, what the fuck? My, you know, heart fell through its stomach, and I loved it because it's just like, and it was needless. Like, and sometimes shit happens in life. You know, he kills his family, and then the fucking cavalry comes in like 10 seconds later. Like, oh shit. But is that not the kind of shit that would happen in real life? Isn't that not your luck sometimes?
Yeah. And, we all don't need closure. You know what I mean? Sometimes you leave things open to use your imagination. You remember when you'd watch a movie and it would end, and you'd go out to eat or, you know, whatever, and talk about it and be like, oh my God. Like,
absolutely.
Your brain's still going. You're still constantly thinking about the movie. That hardly ever happens anymore. It's like, okay, I got the movie. I don't talk about it. Oh, I mean, you know, do you see this movie? I saw it. You know, what's there really to talk about? Mm-hmm. You know, I just saw Spider-Man. Mm-hmm. Was it fun? Absolutely. You know, but like, you don't see me. I'm not rushing to my buddy's house to be like, dude, you got to see Spider-Man. Oh my God, it was freaking amazing. You know, like, cause it was just, you know, it was Spider-Man. You know, it you know, they're always trying to lead you on for the next one to the next one to the next one. So they're not giving you a full, complete story. They're just giving you just a taste to get you onto the Avengers or get you onto something else. I feel like these studio branded movies kind of do the same thing because they hope every time they make a movie that it's going to be a franchise and they can make a sequel out of it. So they don't give it that ending to where you kind of get that closure or the open book that you want. You know?
Did you see Ice Cream Man yet?
I have not seen Ice Cream Man. I've been seeing all the hate
AI stuff.
You know, how do we not see all the hate that's going on through the internet?
Yeah.
And again, I'm not going to shit on it until I see it. And again, I don't shit on it. No. You know, Eli does his thing. You know, Eli does his thing.
I like a lot of his stuff. So yeah, but I don't.
I think what's killing it is the fact that people are nailing him because he straight up lied about there being no AI, and the stuff was the stuff that they're talking about. He was like, oh, it was hand drawn. And then there's literally an AI studio in the credits and people have doxed it. And he's like, yeah, shit, I misspoke. I'm like, all right, you know, it's such a sensitive. I'm not saying eventually somebody's going to fucking just Like they're coming out with all AI movies the next couple of years for kids. All it's going to take is one big blockbuster fucking Minions type movie to can be completely AI to do $500 million in the box office for the floodgates to open. I just hope that there's always going to be a niche that can survive for organic filmmaking.
Yes.
I thought like we were going to have a renaissance in the last 10 years. You've been talking about how films are shit. I've been feeling like because we're on a cusp. Like there's going to be in the 90s, you had Tarantino come and shake everything up. And then everybody wanted to copy Tarantino for like 20 fucking years.
Yeah.
And it's like, where's the next like Tarantino? Where's it? Now it's like, well, is that coming? Because now we got the whole AI thing. And it's like, I don't know what it means anymore. Or is the AI thing going to cause us to get a real grassroots movement for real good underground filmmakers? Because, well, if Hollywood is only catering to this fucking AI drivel anyway, well, then we might as well do what the fuck we want. I kind of think we need a new quote unquote Hollywood. I'm sick to death of like all that shit. I mean, they're packing up anyway. They're gonna come and pollute the next town. Whatever.
I mean, I've been working. I live in Pittsburgh, and I've worked on the Mayor of Kingstown TV show for the past 4 seasons.
Oh, nice.
So there's movies and productions being shot all over. We don't need Hollywood anymore. Usually Hollywood was kind of like the birthplace. The money is out there and things get birthed, and then it goes to films everywhere else. But now people, it's just Hollywood is just it's not what it used to be, and it is crumbling and it is changing. And now with people being able to make smaller movies, your phone shoots 4K. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can make anything you want. Now there's YouTube. You can upload your movies for free. You don't need to have big distribution like you wanted to. If you want to do your own boutique label stuff, you can. You can spend $1,000 and get 1,000 Blu-rays, DVDs, or Blu-rays made. You can do that shit yourself. That's what I did. With toe tag. Like when no distribution company would touch my films, I pressed up my own movies. I went to conventions. I sold it. Mm-hmm. So that was the way that I did it, and now that's kind of like coming back. And for me, and how I'm looking at the future for my movies is, as much as I wanted to make big giant studio, bigger budget movies, because you get bigger budgets, you get bigger actors, you play with more stuff. Maybe that's just not in the cards for me. Maybe I'm just the underground filmmaker guy, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I still need to create. So if I can create things on a smaller budget, make my money back, have my fan base buy my movies, and continue to spread the sickness, man, that's really what I want to do.
Just buy a castle like Charles Band, bro, and film everything in that castle and write everything around the castle.
That's another conversation I had this morning with my buddies. Is like, guys like Roger Corman and Charles Band, like, but it was a different.
The masters of the margin, man.
It was a different time. That's back in the day when you could sell a movie off a video poster. But nowadays, you have to think about the marketing, and you have to try to get the algorithm to share your stuff. So again, I'm so fortunate that I was able to. I have a fan base to where I can kind of like reach out to them and talk personally to them and get them to follow me down the road for the next flick. Which is it's hard to do, man. Making movies is tough, and it's it's my money or whatever going into it. But
that's the best advice, man.
I'm struggling,
just do it though.
Yeah, just gotta do it.
We got people out here in Phoenix. There's a big community out here, and a lot of people will drive out to LA or whatever, and for auditions or whatever. We have a big studio that's getting built out in a bunch of this fucking land we have, like out in Buckeye. And, people in the community out here are like so excited about it. I'm like, you must be out of your fucking mind if you think that you're going to get a job at that studio. You don't think they're not going to gatekeep it? You don't think they're just going to hire their cronies from LA? You don't think it's like they might hire 0.01% of people that actually live in Phoenix? Like, I don't think it's going to just do your own fucking shit.
How it works is, so again, I'm an IATSE union member, so I'm in the union. And, when you work on a picture that's in Pittsburgh, you have to hire so many union members from Pennsylvania.
Sure.
Now, you can bring some department heads in from California, but then you have to make up for it by hiring more people on the other end. So it'll happen. Hopefully people in Arizona will be able to be part of the union and work there. And then the California people will just move to Arizona. You know,
Yeah.
that's what's going to happen because
Exactly. They're already doing it.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's not, you're just going to be competing with the same people that have the same connections that, I'm sorry, a lot of them want to keep you down. And it's just going to be hard. It's not going to get any easier. Like, just make your own shit. And you have these guys like Curry Barker that have proved, like, dude, fucking, and also, I mean, I don't know how you feel about this stuff. Maybe they've been good to you. Maybe they haven't. Fuck film festivals, man. Like, just throw your shit online. Film festivals.
I hate film
they're
festivals.
they're rackets for money.
Yep.
They pop up all over the place. Most of them are not legitimate. Most often, it's just like pay for award bullshit. The big ones that mean something, they don't really mean anything anymore. Sundance and Cannes, all these things are so political now. They take, they all have numbers. Like, you could, it's out there. Like Sundance, they are going to get so many thousands of submissions every year. They're going to pick X amount from America only. And then, like, this many from this genre. Like, it's literally like winning the lottery. And it doesn't mean your film's not good, but they want you to pay fucking the $500 it is.
Sure, and some of them want you to pay to play. They want you to, like,
and all these guys though. But yeah, pay to play. These guys at these big prestigious festivals. When did Tom Hanks become independent? What the fuck is this? It's all like studio people. It's all big name actors. It's all handshakes and money. So it's like, just be like Curry Barker. Put all your films out on YouTube. Get an audience. And Curry Barker got his, he did go to a festival with a short, and then somebody financed Obsession or whatever. I'm not saying you have to fucking say no to all that, but don't fucking... just put your shit out there. Like, everybody's got a platform now.
Sure.
Hey,
sorry. When I made my movie, The Final Interview, it was, we released it right before, COVID. It was going to the film, and I was winning film awards at film festivals, and I was pissed off because, like, I said to myself, I'm only going to spend $2,000 on entry fees for film festivals, and that went quick.
Oh, right? I bet.
So I spent the $2,000 on the entry fees. COVID hits. Now the movie that I spent $5,000 color correcting in Los Angeles, people are going to watch on their laptop. And I was like, fuck this. Like, this movie's meant to be watched on a movie theater. I worked so hard so it looked great on the big screen, the color correction, everything that I did with the film. And now I'm going to be stuck here having my movie watched on a computer. I pulled it from I stopped doing the submissions, and I put the money into making a special edition Blu-ray. And was just like, you know what? I have a fan base and a following. I'm just gonna, like, get my movie out there because time, it's crazy. So I shot the movie in 2016. My producer, his last 3 movies all went to Sundance, so I was kind of rushing my edit to try to get it into Sundance. Sundance, like you were saying, they have a certain type. Like how guys like blondes or whatever. You know what I mean? Sure. Sundance has a type. The Final Interview wasn't their type, at all. Yeah. So my movie doesn't make it into Sundance, even though my producer had a relationship with Sundance, and I was really hoping that I was going to get in. That didn't fucking happen. So I took that rest of that year of 2017 to edit the movie, and really put everything I have into it, make the edit super tight. I went to California. I did a color correction of the movie, made the movie look great, got the movie, on the digital, all the different formats that I needed to start submitting to film festivals and getting everything ready that way. Money keeps adding up, but time. So now we're going into 2018, and it's just like, then that movie becomes kind of old, it's not like Hollywood where you have the machine behind you and, it's 1 year and it's done and it's out and it's fresh. Now I'm going on 3 years, 4 years, and it's just like, holy shit. My new movie is 4 years old now. That's a talking baby.
Oh, yeah.
So then you start getting classified as, now your movie's 4 years old. We don't even want to accept it to the film festival because it's old.
Yeah. Most of them have like a fucking rolling 12, 16 months. Yeah. Like cap on them. And it's just,
that's wild.
It's just it's a crap shit. None of it means anything.
No,
dude.
It doesn't. It doesn't mean anything. Like, I'm very thankful for all the awards that I've won. But my biggest reward, again, is talking to you guys or meeting the fans and people like expressing their their love for my art, and like that's worth it more than any plastic plaque that I have hanging in my
absolutely
in my bookshelf downstairs.
Last thing we have to ask before we let you go. You've been very gracious.
Yeah. Thank you for your time, brother.
You
Appreciate it.
a few days back, you had made a post that you want to make a film again. I saw that on your Instagram, I believe.
Yeah.
Can you tell us anything about that? Like what's cooking? Is it something? I know you made a mention in it where you said I'm going to need your help. Is it something you're thinking about, like crowdfunding? Is that what that meant?
Yeah.
Or,
So I hate crowdfunding.
I get the stigma, but yeah.
So
just don't make fucking 31 like Rob Zombie.
Yeah. No. So
don't crowdfund some shit.
Yeah. No. So,
like
it's been 10 years since the final interview. Boy, does that time go fast. And I'm creatively, I'm itching to make a movie. I've been working so much on television. And so now Kingstown season 5 just ended. That's the end of the series. I'm off right now. I have some time. So, trying to work things out with my business partner, Jeremy Cruz, who, he worked for a company that designed all the suits for the Marvel movies, Deadpool, Black Adam, Captain Marvel, things like that. That they left to go to, that company ended up closing because Hollywood moved out of California and took Marvel with it. Now it's done in the UK. So now there's an opportunity for Jeremy to come back. That means Jeremy back with Fred and Shelby. Toe tag can happen again. It's been a long time. Sure. It's been 2010 since Stella Turcica, which was the last toe tag movie. Mm-hmm. So, Jeremy and I have been thinking about, like, what can we do to, come back after all these years with something that people are going to be really excited about. And, we're still trying to work out the bugs of what this new film is going to be, but it is going to be bloody. It is going to be nasty because, it's not that I didn't love making those kind of movies. It's just as a creative person, I wanted to try different things.
Absolutely.
I have an arsenal of scripts, dream projects that I've been trying to make for years, like my movie, like my Pittsburgh Body Removal. I have a Christmas horror film. I have a wrestling movie. I have I probably have 7 or 8 scripts that, are ready to go. It's just, some are bigger budget, some are smaller budget. I have to work in that sweet spot to where I can make a movie and make that money back, to roll that money over to make the next movie. Like, my goal now is to not do 10 years apart for each movie. I turned 50 this year. That's a fucking huge wake-up call, guys.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's like, okay, well, I'm at this milestone in my life. I'm 50 years old. I've been with my wife for 20 years. My first movie turned 25. Now it's time for me to make some more movies and kind of do what we were doing at Toe Tag right before we stopped making those movies, where we did Murder Collection, Maskhead, and Stella Turcica all in like a 3-year span. We had a studio at that time and things like that. So I'm looking to kind of like bring that, urgency back into my filmmaking of making more stuff, but still making quality films. So I just don't make movies just to make movies. But since I'm sitting on all these scripts and these great ideas, I want to try to bring some of those to life.
Hell yeah!
Now, as for like the crowdfunding thing, so I was going to announce it sooner than later. But what I want to do is, I have a lot of great rare toe tag merchandise, everything from some props to dead stock merchandise like t-shirts and things. So like one of the things I want to do is I want to start selling some of my dead stock old school toe tag t-shirts. I see a lot of the shirts go for like $150 on eBay. Like, what if you were able to get, an original August Underground shirt from 20 years ago, but it's going to cost you $200, or if you want to put $400 towards that, and that movie's going to help me make the next movie, that's the even trade. I want you to get something from me that that's personally coming from me, that is not just a name and a credit or some bullshit poster or something like that. I want it to be a little bit more personal that way.
Oh yeah, man, that's awesome.
Something from my archives that I've been holding on and I've been collecting. Because I do that, and Jeremy's been doing it, and he's been starting to sell some stuff to kind of help him get back over here from the West Coast, because it's expensive to move from California back to Pittsburgh, especially when you have twin babies in a family. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
oh yeah.
It's just it's gonna be tough to see how it happens. The good thing is that I already have some money raised, to kind of get the ball rolling. I'm just going to need a little bit to keep, yeah. I want to hire a stunt person for one of these projects. Things that I couldn't afford before. Now I'm able to, like, being as I worked for so long in in television and on the bigger projects. I've met so many great people and talented professionals that I have more access to a lot of things. So it's going to be exciting to what I do next. I can't tell you what it's going to be, but it's definitely going to be exciting.
Oh, we're looking.
You don't need
to
a stunt person, dude. Just slap 2 couch cushions on a midget like in Troll 2 and throw that guy down the stairs. Like, just no, I think it's cool, man. I think
awesome,
a lot
dude.
of people are looking forward to it. And hasn't it been like a decade? How long's it been?
Yeah, it's been a decade, and that seems to be like my career. I've made 8 feature films in my career. That's a lot for any filmmaker. So I'm very blessed when it comes to that I've been able to make these movies and to make movies for the fans and not compromise my art at all. And that's really what I want to do. Is I don't want anybody to tell me what I can do, and that's something that I had to come to terms with, because when you play with more money and you play with other people's money, you have to listen to what they say.
More people.
More people. At 50, it's a different stage of the game for me right now, and I just want to do my thing and make movies for my fans and have fun doing it and just keep making more stuff.
Hell yeah. Where can people keep up to track on the new film and everything, Fred Vogel? I saw you have a new website, right?
So that's another
Where can they find you?
Yeah, my wife is working. We're working on that. We're going to be dropping that soon. It's pretty, it's going to be a Fred Vogel website. So, everything about me and merchandise and things like that. I'm obviously, I'll always, toe tag is in my blood. It's always going to be something that I do. It's just that, I want to do more. I'm trying to do, lots of different things creatively. But you can always find me on my social media. I'm on Instagram, Fred Vogel. Just look for this handsome face. You'll see it. I don't know the names of them or whatever, if it's Fred Vogel 76, or my Instagram, I think it is. I don't know.
I think it is.
I don't care. Just look for this guy. I'm there. I'm easy to find. So.
Hell yeah. Well, Fred, thank you so much. Everybody, long live Black Sabbath.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us.
This has been so much fun, man. I appreciate it so much.
Yeah, man.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.